I'm Mai, and I'm a PM on the Meet team. I lead our platform program of the org, and we're going to have a couple of other people join me on stage later. I'll just kick you guys off. Patrick is one of our engineering leads, so he's going to come up and talk about add-ons and how to build something. And then Kevin is another PM on our team, and he'll come up and get to share some of the latest things that we have cooking in platform for video calls. So why Meet? Why build with Meet? Why is Meet awesome for your users? I'll give you 4 reasons why Meet is the way to go. So first of all, it's super simple to use. You don't need to install anything. There's just a click of a button, and you're in the video call. As a result, it's super simple to manage. There's no version management that you have to worry about. Super secure, more secure than ever. And because it's part of Workspace, efficient because it's interconnected with all of the other products that you already work with. All right, so from a platform perspective, we have 4 main pieces that we offer. So the first is our Add-ons SDK, which brings your app into the Meet UI. We have our REST APIs, which are sort of foundational to our product, and just lets you, create things and programmatically pre-configure meetings. We have Embed SDK, which lets you bring the Meet product into your own UI. And then we have our Media API, which streams raw audio and video in real time out of a meeting to you. All right, so let's start with the APIs. So we have our REST API, and we have an Events API. They go hand in hand, and they're really the foundation of everything you're going to do in our platform. So the REST API just lets you create meetings, get the space URL so you can create a little button for your users so they can click in if there's a meeting going on or if you want to schedule a meeting. Then we have the Events API, which does stuff like alert you when things are happening in the meeting that you want to know about, whether it's something like a user is creating a meeting in Calendar, or a meeting has started, or people are joining, people are leaving, the artifacts are ready. That's what the Events API is for. So I think of the meeting as sort of like 3 different sections. So there's a before, a during, and an after. And things you can do with the REST API around it are creating the meeting and then retrieving the space URL. And also tailoring the meeting by pre-configuring a lot of the settings that control how the meeting happens when it's happening. So whether that's host control settings or you want to make sure an artifact is going to get created, things like that. Then during the meeting itself, you can retrieve information like how many people are in it or who's in it so that you can alter your UI or the experience for your users in the time while the meeting is going on. And then after the meeting, of course, all of the artifacts become really relevant, so recording and transcription, things like that. Even newer things that we're talking about, like our Gemini notes. All right, and then the Events API, we have 2 different ways that you can subscribe to events. We have subscription at the space level or at the meeting ID level, I think is what most people think about. And then, so you're subscribing to that meeting, and you get alerted when things in that meeting are changing. Whether it's new people joining, whether it's an artifact being ready. And then there's also you subscribing to a particular user. So you can subscribe to users in your domain, and you know when they're creating meetings, when they're joining meetings, when they're and for those you can then get also notified when the artifact is ready and things like that. Use cases. So these are the popular use cases that we've seen through our early partnerships in Meet. So there's sales and account management, so retrieving meeting and participant information that you can then append to the account of the client. You can fetch the artifacts and then have them show up in the account where relevant, or if you have like a list of meetings, you can show them in your UI afterwards. And then, of course, because we're giving you the transcription data, you can run it through your own models so that you can create playbooks and the right next steps for the sales agents to make based on the analysis of the call. There are use cases that are very popular in learning and development. And so this is around creating meetings so that the user is in your learning tool app, can simply join a scheduled class that's coming up, If you have like small group discussions, you can pre-configure them in advance. You can assign host and co-host roles to those that are providing the content, so the teachers, so to speak. And then, of course, after the class is over, you can append the recording or the transcription so that users who might have missed the class or something like that can come back and review the materials. The last use case that I'm going to go over in the Meet APIs is around developer operations. And so this is just normal operations on a development team, frankly. So being able to create meetings instantly where your users are. So maybe that's not in Calendar. Maybe your users are spending most of their time in a different place. So being able to do that instantly so that you can connect teammates where it makes sense for them to get connected over video. Letting other people know that their connection is happening, that a video call is happening, and that they can join in. They can see how many people are in it, how many of their team is in it. And then, of course, similarly to the sales case, you can run the transcription data through some models of your own and generate the right next steps for the development team to take and suggest them in your UI as a result. All right, so moving on to add-ons. I know this is really quick. But they're generally available, which makes us so happy. Makes me so happy. I hope it makes you so happy. Anyone has access to them now. You don't have to be in the developer preview program anymore, although that was a great place for us to start. So the Add-ons SDK allows you to iframe your product into ours. We have two models for that. One is Focus, where you're taking up the large part of the real estate, similar to presentation mode. And then we also have the Augment framework, which has your app iframed into the side. And it really depends on what the use case is for your app for you to choose the correct model. All right, so for the Focus framework, this really makes the most sense if your app tends to be sort of the focal point of discussion. So brainstorming, designing something together, full collaborative experiences. And the benefit of this being in the meeting is that it really provides a lot of confidence to both the host or somebody running the session, as well as all of you, that we're in the same place at the same time and working together in this moment. You don't switch UIs. It's all in the same video UI. And then the Augment framework is really when you're doing something on the side while the meeting stays sort of the focal point. So taking notes or creating tasks or we have polls or surveys that you can do on the side. That would be a good use case for this particular framework. And similarly, it stays in the same UI. So where is discovery for these kinds of experiences? The activities panel, where a lot of our activities are housed, things like recording, Q&A, polls, that's where we've put our add-ons. And so users can find the featured ones by a click of a button. We iframe the marketplace into our UI, and then the user goes through a 2-click process to install them. Or when the user screen shares a content, we notice that it's an add-on, and we will promote the add-on when the user is screen sharing the content of your app. There's also the plus button at the bottom. And there, the user can just access the entire marketplace and search for add-ons that they would like to use and install them that way.
So yeah, like Mai said, I'm Patrick. I'm a manager and sometimes engineer in add-ons on Meet. And I'm really, really excited to be here. I mean, we went to GA on Monday. For folks who have released something they've been working on for a couple of years, it's like a super good feeling. So I'm like really happy to be here on behalf of like the whole engineering team that's been working on this for a super long time. But we spent all that time to make the framework super easy to build, so easy that here in an abbreviated amount of time, I'm going to show you how to build an add-on, both creating it in Google Cloud Console as well as writing the code. There's 3 steps to do it. First, we create it in Cloud Console, we write the code, and then we install the add-on. Let's go ahead and run through. So for folks who have built, I mean, I guess that's one thing I did add. Who's built a Google Workspace add-on in general? All right, good. We got like pretty good familiarity. So this is like old news to y'all. You go enable these 2 APIs, the Google Workspace Add-ons API and the Marketplace SDK. They're in the API and services section of the Cloud Console, and then you can go and create your add-on there. We're actually going to do this in the HTTP deployment section. That's what we generally recommend for Meet add-ons. You can also do this in AppScript, in the AppScript editor, if you already have an add-on and want to take advantage of bundling. Like say you have a calendar add-on, you want to add Meet functionality to that add-on, you can add it there, and then if someone installs it in Calendar, it'll just appear there in Meet, and vice versa. So that's really nice. So we'll go there in HTTP deployments, and you can see here on the side, we open the editor right there, and we can add our, update our manifest there. To dig into the manifest a bit more, and this is the one I made for this add-on, me and a colleague of mine, Benedict, who actually be giving the same talk in Berlin. We set up a few of these key fields. So the common ones are similar for all workspace add-ons, name, logo. Then we also have things like the side panel URL. That's what we're going to open in the side panel there in Meet. Whether we support screen sharing or not, that's can you screen share the main stage of your add-on, and then logos, dark mode logos, because Meet displays some things in light mode, some things in dark mode. So we want to make sure you have optionality for your icons there. And then add-on origins, which is really related to a security feature that we have. We want to make sure that our cross-site request policies are set properly, so you only are loading resources from the origins that you intend. This is for the safety of both your add-on as well as Meet. So now that once we've done that, we've got the add-on set up. We know what URL we're going to point to. It's going to be something that's hosted by whoever's building the add-on. Then we're going to need to go into the code and actually interact with the SDK itself in JavaScript or TypeScript. So the first thing we do is include it. You've got two main ways. The top way is the modern way. Maybe you got your package.json, you add Meet add-ons there with this nice shiny new 1.0.0 version. No 0 prefix anymore. It's great. Still feeling good about it. And then you can just import it right there in your TypeScript or JavaScript file. If you're in TypeScript, you can also import whatever types you want, so you can have type consistency. We publish the types as well. Or if you're old school, just put a script tag, pull it right out of our CDN. Once you do that, and I'll show you this a little more in a bit in context, the actual creation of the client and the session are pretty straightforward. So you're going to pass your cloud project number in, which is the one you used to create that the add-on earlier there in the cloud console. You're going to create the session, and then from the session you can create a client, whether you're in the side panel or the main stage. Now, once you have that set up, we can then start the activity. So I think Maya alluded to this earlier in DPP. We kind of had this idea that you set up your state and then you click a start button there in Meet. This was identified as some user friction, so we actually let the third party, whoever's building the add-on, actually do the start activity operation itself. In this example, I have the same app that's powering both the side panel and main stage, so I set the same URL to our main stage URL. But you could have those hosted at different endpoints if you wanted to organize your app that way. And then there in the main stage, you can do things like close your side panel by unloading it. You can also get some data from the client, like the meeting info or why that frame was opened. And then, once we've kind of put it together, we can go and install the add-on with this sort of developer install mode. And I'll actually jump over onto my laptop right now. This is the project. I guess I can open up my terminal. So there's a bunch of extra things. This should to most people look like a normal sort of web project. You'll see most of the stuff is here in our source directory. We really only care about index.ts for our purposes here. Most of the code that's in this add-on, hopefully we're going to publish this in our sample so you can check out the whole thing later. But most of the code here is really about organizing the chess game that I'm going to show here in a moment. If we go down to the bottom of this file, you can see that basically from line 162 down is all it takes for the add-on, and we've actually got a decent number of comments and logging messages here. I'm going to start here. So like when we see this code, we ask the add-on infrastructure, hey, what frame are you? So if you're the side panel, we do the side panel setup. If you're the main stage, we do the main stage setup. And then in the side panel, we do a very simple thing. We create the session, we create the client, we start the activity. And then as soon as we open the main stage, we're going to close the side panel, and then we're going to get some meeting information. And then the rest is like setting up Firebase so we can store the game state so that it can be synced between the clients. And so I'm going to briefly show what this actually looks like. So I'm going to start a new meeting, start an instant meeting. It's going to chug and take a little while to load because law of demos. And here we go. So as you can see, it loaded, slid that thing aside, and lo, we've got a chess game that we can start playing. Before our meeting starts. I did say I was going to make a PM. So say you're a bunch of software engineers, you're meeting with your PM. The PM's going to be late to the meeting, so you can play some chess before the PM. So I promised I would get one in. I'll also actually grab the same meeting link and show you what it looks like when a second participant jumps in, so you can kind of see the collaborative nature of these add-ons. So yeah, it's kind of boring because they're both me, but I did the wrong thing. I tried to do that. So I'm just going to join the activity. And then you can see I've now joined, since I was the second to join, I joined as black. And I can go ahead and move my piece. If I go back to my first thing, I can also share the screen. So I can say, all right, that way anyone who joins again, like me a third time, will actually be able to see something. So if I join here too, then you'll see, first of all, it'll chug a little bit. I get to see me a lot, which is like kind of unsettling. And I also apologize. I can see the screen share of the first participant, which is pretty cool. And let's say I wanted to join it. Unfortunately, chess is a 2-player game, so sorry, only the first 2 people can join. We should join the meeting earlier. And so that's just and so if I leave the activity, I fall back to the screen share, which can be nice. It can also be good for clients that maybe don't support the add-ons yet, like Rooms devices or say a mobile client. And so with that, I'm going to end the activity. So our add-on is over, and then hand it off to Kevin, who's going to talk about some other exciting parts of the platform. Thanks.
So the team obviously is brimming with anticipation for you all to build things where you bring your own add-ons and apps into the Meet application. But some of you sitting here might be thinking, hey, I'm a developer, I made a great ecosystem, I have a platform, and I want to keep people in my own platform. I don't necessarily just want to build something within the Meet app. So what we've actually also done now is given you a way to put Meet into your own applications. So you may have your own website, your own app, whatever it may be, and you can embed a video calling part of Meet into it. So you can stay focused on all the things that you do amazingly well, and let us do the things that we do amazingly well, which is make reliable, high-quality video calls. So this will be a really flexible way for you all to start integrating Meet in other ways if you just want the richness of the audio-video communication. So this is coming soon, not available yet. In the meantime, please continue developing your add-ons. The other thing I want to tease to you as well that's coming soon is the Meet Media API. So as we know, building any app today in the modern world requires data. And everything is about data. Where are we getting the right data? Where do we get the right data sets? How do we actually know what's going on? And hundreds of millions of people are choosing Meet each month for their video calls, generating billions and billions of video calling minutes. And right now, your app knows nothing about what happened in those video calls. You have no access to the audio, the video, what was said, who discussed what. So what we're actually going to provide you now is the ability to have real-time direct access to the audio and video of the call. So this is going to be a simple real-time WebRTC access where you're going to get audio, video, and participant metadata. And this will allow you to build whatever rich applications you have and boundless potential applications, only limited really by your own imagination and what you want to build with it. And With all this, user trust is a very important thing. So it's going to have clear user-facing messaging. It's going to have admin controls. And the way this all works is going to be fully transparent to the user and people in charge of their own organizational units. And the best part of this all is that it's going to be really flexible to integrate because it's a simple OAuth connection and a WebRTC connection. And with those two, you can build off of wherever you want. You can start this from even within an add-on. You can start it from your own web app. You can build it from any client you really have conceivably. And we're going to make it as easy as possible for you with open source samples and clear documentation. So some potential ideas that could get some of your gears spinning of what you could do is you could make analytics to keep the conversation productive. You could track action items. You can update a CRM. But honestly, the potential is limitless and just whatever you want to use any of the in-call audio and video for. So the question now is when, and we had a playful dig of PMs being late to meetings. So we're going to make sure engineers are not late to deliver this. So so the Eng folks are hard at work building it right now. And later this year, winter 2024, maybe early 2025, we should have a preview available for all of you to start getting access and building with it. So if you're interested, please reach out to us, and we can help find ways for you to get part of the developer preview program. Early next year, we'll have this as a public GA for everyone to use. And to the latter part of next year, we're going to be investing more so that we can actually make further improvements and refine it based on feedback that you all have, because ultimately, we're here to empower you to build your applications. And any feedback or suggestions you have really matter to us, and we'll take those into account.